In random question here, so I live in Mecklenburg County. Not sure if you're around Wake County in that area, right? Guilford
Hmm.
County and all that. So obviously several subdivisions, neighborhoods, associations with a large membership body, multiple units. I think of a couple of neighborhoods I know that are 900 units and
Hmm.
more. Having an online meeting with that many members, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm on that board, I'm kind of taking it back. I'm like, I don't know if we want to go this route. Have you witnessed, been a part of any of those large membership virtual meetings? And if so, how'd it go?
Absolutely. We've done many hundreds of meetings like that. And Justin, you said large. I will at least mention it. We don't have these in North Carolina, but there are associations in states like Colorado that have many tens of thousands of owners. Tens of thousands, which is hard to imagine, but that is elsewhere in the country. The meetings tend to go fine, and please keep in mind they don't have to meet virtually. Many boards decide because of the makeup of our association we want to meet in person. On the other hand, we have associations at the coast because we have an office in Wilmington as well, where no one that owns a unit lives anywhere within 100 miles. They're all rental type. It's a rental type association, and so they're not around anyway. So they absolutely would like to meet virtually, and so the meetings usually go fine. And the reason I say usually is you just have to have the technology that allows people to participate. And as you may know, generally it's not that everybody wants to talk on every issue. It's that everybody wants to have the opportunity to vote. And so what often happens at these meetings is you have discussions which may not involve everyone in the association, but they get to hear what's going on. But then at the end of it, they will get a ballot where they then get to vote on the issue that is before the association. So our experience with the virtual meetings has been pretty good.
You mentioned voting, so I think about some of the platform tools, and so Zoom obviously being the most known platform tool there is. Zoom has a poll feature on it. If an association was to conduct a vote via Zoom polling, is that valid and enforceable based on those results, or what's that like?
Well, once again, it's going to depend on a lot of things. There are different statutes that talk about how you amend a declaration versus how you amend, say, bylaws, or how you just vote on something like a budget. So you'd have to make certain that you're following the statute, and you'd have to make certain you're following the governing documents of the association. Even then, the board has to adopt rules that make certain that the people who are voting are the people who are supposed to be voting. It's to protect the integrity of the vote. So keep in mind, as you've already pointed out, Justin, you can have a townhome association with 33 people. Well, you could have a townhome association with 21 people easily. 21 people can all fit on a Zoom screen. I mean, that's not that big of a deal if you think about it. It's just a big board meeting. On the other hand, as you've already pointed out, if you have 1,000 members, whether or not you can have a fair meeting in that capacity is something that would have to be discussed by the board. And typically, if the board is doing stuff the members don't like, you'll end up with a new board. So at the end of the day, you're going to get where the association wants to be on these issues. I will say from an electronic meetings perspective, what we most hear from our members is that they're happy that they can be eating dinner with their family and 3 minutes later they're at the annual meeting versus having to drive 30 minutes or fly across the country to come somewhere. We've had also lots of people who would never be able to participate physically because of a disability or because of an age or because of their health. Or I've had a number of parents with young children tell me they would never have volunteered to be on the board of directors, except the board now tends to meet virtually. While when it was in person, they couldn't leave their kids at home and go off to a meeting on a Wednesday night. And so it is giving an opportunity for some people to participate who in the past might not have been able to participate in the life of the association. So there are pros, but then there are also cons. The cons, I will say, which you've lived through enough Zoom meetings of your own, people sometimes act differently on Zoom than they would act in person, and sometimes they're a bit meaner. And sometimes the votes tend to not come out the way you would be certain they would come out in person. And I think some of that is because when people sit in their living room, they're not necessarily paying as much attention as they might be if they were in person. And when they're clicking the remote basically to vote, you can get a different outcome. It also doesn't build as much a sense of community because of course associations are community associations. They're big on the idea of let's build community. And as you know from Zoom meetings, it can be difficult to build a sense of community through an electronic device. So I know a lot of associations, they may continue having some meetings that are virtual, but I know they're all looking for ways to get people together, whether it's at a social event or whether it's something in somebody's yard, or if they have a pool, they might have a pool event. But communities are always looking for ways of how do we incorporate everybody into this sense of community, and the virtual has not been so great at that.
But Jim, my favorite part about the virtual is I can be business on top and I can be comfort on the bottom, right? Like I can sit on the couch and make every meeting in the world and participate as much or as little as I want. Not bad if I got some things I want to do on my weekends, I'm just throwing that out there.
And probably better than if you showed up at the membership meeting that way.
Well, sometimes I do that just for fun, Jim, but that's a different conversation.